nationwide. The federal government has inaugurated the pilot project of revamping the 417 grazing reserves in the country to global standards, starting with Wase Livestock Village in Plateau State. Yusuf Jika reports that the project, in collaboration with the Plateau State government, is poised to bring an end to the long-aged farmers-herders clashes and enhance livestock productivity.
The renewed top agenda in the livestock industry is gradually coming to fruition with the inauguration of a multi-million naira Wase grazing reserve infrastructure in Plateau State to house herders' family and their cattle, with a view to addressing urban grazing and its attendant effects. This, the Minister Idi Mukhtar Meha says, it will improve productivity and enhance economic fortunes within the value chain.
To demonstrate that this is doable under the renewed hope agenda of Mr. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Here we have come with a model that encompasses, apart from the housing for the families of the herders, there is also going to be massive cultivation of pasture. There will be a lot of development of earth dams for dry season irrigation of pasture, so that when the animals are here, they would have no reason to leave this place for purposes of looking for greener pasture.
We also want you to support the president and also a governor who is very much committed to seeing that this thing works.
The initiative today is to show the commitment of the government at all levels.
A cross-section of community leaders and livestock farmers commended the foresight of the present administration in the quest to revive the Wase grazing reserve.
I know the condition of this visiting of minister will boost the moral of this rearing cattle, because it's a modern way of rearing cattle, I know.
The minister and his entourage were at the palace of emirs of Wase and Kanam and briefed them on the federal government's agenda in the livestock industry and other positive features in Jos. Yusuf Jika, NTN News.
Lake Chad Climate Youth Fellowship, in collaboration with Development Action Network, is pushing for the recharge of the Lake Chad for prosperity and regional security. The group frowned at the shrinking fortunes of one of Africa's greatest economic potentials, alarming level of security concerns. To address this, the organization is empowering youth across member states for the duration of 24 months for economic growth and development.
The most climate impacted and political fragile regions, which is the Lake Chad Basin region, are well equipped to lead and respond to building lasting solutions.
I'm very excited about this fellowship because I see it as an opportunity to have young people who are very vibrant to tell the story the right way, to also empower young people who are affected or who are living in those communities to say the story the way it ought to be told.
Our data are collected on our behalf, they are interpreted on our behalf, and whatever they make out of those stories becomes our reality.
We're also ensuring that it is broken down in a way that people will get to understand what climate change is really all about, especially in the Lake Chad region.
The stakeholders are also appealing for enhanced security and collaborative efforts in order to boost trade and stimulate economic growth, especially now that most people have fled the region for fear of attacks by Boko Haram and other criminal syndicates. Nigeria is set to begin operations on electronic ethics proposal submission system e-portal to ease health research submissions with a target on advancing health equity and research excellence in the country and Africa. The National Health Research Ethics Committee is hosting national and state-level research ethics committees, policy stakeholders and partners in Abuja on standardization of research ethics review processes in Nigeria. Olusheye Adebo has details.
The National Health Research Ethics Committee continues with arrangements for the takeoff of the NREC e-portal, an online system that will replace the traditional manual process of health research submission and offering researchers a faster, more accessible and transparent way of submitting reviews and get approval for research protocols.
So principally what this is going to do is that it's going to improve efficiency, but also harmonize how we do things across the country.
NREC, with the Federal Ministry of Health and Social Welfare and partners are driving the two-day workshop that assembles participants, including research institutions across the country and abroad. Their engagement is reflecting a shared commitment to building a system that ensures data integrity and making efficient, predictable, as well as transparent review process of clinical trials.
It ensures that any research done anywhere in the country or any research approved in anywhere in the country is the same no matter what part of the country you are in.
Because in the corner of your bedroom, you can submit your proposal. You don't need to start calling from wherever you are.
Development partners commend Nigerian government's commitment to strengthening research governance. In Abuja, Olusheye Adiagbo, NTA News.
Hingino continues with the news presentation in our Lagos Network studio. Hello, Hingino. It's your up time. Presentation.
Pauline, and welcome to Lagos. The Lagos State High Court sitting at the Tafawa Balewa Square has sentenced Andrew Nice Ominikoran, a driver of Lagos Bus Rapid Transit BRT, to death by hanging for killing Bamiche Ayonwola, a 22-year-old fashion designer. Delivering judgment on the matter, Justice Sherifat Sonoike held that the prosecution successfully proved its case, relying on the doctrine of last seen and the victim's dying declaration to establish Ominikoran's guilt. Ominikoran was arraigned on a 5-count charge bordering on conspiracy to commit felony, rape, murder, and sexual assault.
Very, very okay with the sentence, it's the maximum. Okay, but there are actually some questions that are begging for answers.
26-20.
All right, it appears we have a challenge over there, and let's pause here for a commercial break. Thank you for staying with us on Nationwide. One of the major challenges of the Nigerian legal system is the backlog of cases. To reduce the pressure it puts on justice dispensation, students of law across West Africa advocate for more usage of innovative technology to transform the nation's legal landscape.
Future of legal profession revolves around two things: artificial intelligence and human connection. So we are here to discuss the intersection between law and technology.
Now, so many correctional facilities now have provisions for virtual court hearings where they can stay even within the correctional facilities and give evidence and do all that.
Of course, when we talk about firstly our law reporting, there has been a lot of improvements, in the input of technology, which is now the goal.
Applauding the ease with which cases in court are currently being speedily dispensed, they urge the adoption of mandatory virtual court proceedings in courts across the country. The federal government is working on absorbing teachers employed by parent teachers associations in federal unity colleges across the country. This is to bridge the gap of inadequate teachers in the system. In a meeting with principals of federal unity colleges, Minister of Education, Dr. Tunji Alausa, says sustainable funding and development of infrastructure to meet up educational demands are the government's priority. He says the government will focus on federal technical colleges to build impactful skills in Nigerian students.
Adequate number of teachers, but at the same time you may have inadequate number of teachers. But how you utilize them, it depends on your capacity and ability as an administrator. A good administrator will manage both the teachers, the resources, and the school.
So we have to be fair. To whom much is given and to whom much is expected. We also have to be diligent in the way we deal with you. And I promise you that diligence is a different day. We have a president in the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu that believes so much in education, in human capital development, education, health, and social protection. And that's the base, that's the foundational base of any society.
The stakeholders call for strategic partnerships, alumni engagement, community support, and public-private partnerships to regain the value of unity colleges. We shall now be joining Kemi in our Ibadan Network Center for more on Nationwide. Hello, Kemi. It's over to you.
Very much, Nolene, and a warm welcome to Ibadan. The federal government says it will leave no stone unturned to revamp the cooperative sector for food security and strengthen the nation's economy. The Minister of State Agriculture, Senator Aliyu Sabi Abdullahi, stated these at the Renewed Hope for Cooperative Reform and National Training Workshop for Southwest Cooperative stakeholders in Ibadan. Wasil Rauf has the details.
The workshop provided a platform for trustees, management committees and managers of cooperative societies in Nigeria, as well as other stakeholders across the grassroots, including youth, to chart a new course of development in the sector. The minister noted that the initiative is aimed not only to address challenges facing the sector, but to review the Nigerian Cooperative Societies Act, establishment of bank for cooperative societies, launching a new national policy for cooperative development and growth, as well as establishing national regulatory framework and standard operating guidelines for cooperatives in Nigeria to make the sector vibrant and boost food sufficiency.
When you have cooperative societies, they will need cooperative managers, administrators, accountants, and marketers who will help them to run the cooperative business. And this is where we are interested.
The Provost Federal Cooperative College and other stakeholders of the opinion that the workshop is timely as well as eye-opener for participants to leverage the set targets of the initiative to revitalize the cooperative sector for food security.
At the end of this training, we believe that cooperative will be able to play a major role in moving this country forward.
All the people who are in charge of the cooperative, they should work hand in hand and ensure that they meet all the stakeholders who are typically in charge of the cooperative 100%. Let them try within 6 months and see the outcome. They will be praising that we have given them a wonderful advice.
I believe it's going to make an impact. It's going to make an impact on all cooperative societies.
The two-day workshop offered opportunities for critical reforms in the sector to fulfill its mandate to produce and equip manpower with cooperative, vocational and entrepreneurial skills capable of establishing and managing cooperative businesses in Nigeria. In Ibadan, Wasil Rauf, NTA News.
In a move to position Osun State as a leader in homegrown innovation and digital inclusion in Nigeria, Governor Ademola Adeleke is focusing on encouraging youths in technology and sustainable development. This was on display at the 2025 Osun Innovation Challenge, organized by Ministry of Innovation and Digital Economy in Osogbo. Femi Afariogun tells us more.
The 2025 Osun Innovation Challenge showcased the potential of homegrown solution and the tech-driven future envisioned by Governor Ademola Adeleke. 122 candidates submitted their innovations before 23 were shortlisted for the Innovation Challenge.
We are not just running creativity, we are building a pipeline of local solutions that can solve real local problems.
From agriculture to education, the young minds at this challenge are tackling some of Osun's and Nigeria's toughest challenges.
This challenge is a testament to our dedication to bridging the digital divide and ensuring inclusivity.
I encourage you not to give up, to continue to connect, network with other people here and see how your vision, your ideas can turn into something greater.
At the end of the challenge, while some walked away with the prizes, every participant gained visibility, mentorship, and a sense of belonging in the growing innovation ecosystem Osun is now nurturing. In Osogbo, Femi Afariogun, NTA News.
And that's it from Ibadan. It's back to Nolin in Abuja for more on Nationwide.
Very well, Kemi. Thank you so much for your contribution from that end. Now, the Federal University of Transportation, Daura, is launching a national research initiative on transportation, underscoring its commitment to building a transformative data-driven transport policy ecosystem in Nigeria. Stakeholders in the sector are working towards achieving an effective, efficient and sustainable transport sector in line with the federal government's Renewed Hope agenda. The university's governing council approves the setting up of committees for research on transport data framework and trans-Saharan routes and trade.
Once we establish the framework, it will be there for the entire Nigerian university system, for the academia, for business people to know exactly the length and breadth and the depth of our transportation system.
4 different corridors between West Africa and Northern Africa, from Northern Africa to Europe. What happened? Who were the people involved in that type of trade? What commodities did they trade in? What cultural influences passed back and forth? How can we harness that historical legacy, to add value to what we are doing today, especially as we are now building boundaries, of economic interdependence between West African and other African nations.
The research outcome is expected to provide a data framework policy recommendations for improved governance and strengthen institutional capacity for transport planning and monitoring. Recognizing the spiritual significance of Hajj to Nigerian Muslims, the present administration has consistently provided the necessary support to ensure that the sacred obligation remains within reach for thousands of Nigerian Muslims. Senior Special Assistant to the President on Legal and Compliance Matters, Vice President's Office, Bashir Medugu, said this at a second National Hajj Stakeholders Summit put together by Hajj Institute of Nigeria. The theme for the summit is Sustainable Hajj Financing, developing a resilient model for Nigerian pilgrims and operators. In view of the way the country finances Hajj, there should be more efficient, transparent, inclusive model, innovation, and private sector collaboration.
Coupled with economic fluctuations and global uncertainties, underscores the necessity for funding a sustainable financing model for Hajj and Umrah.
We are indeed at a crossroad, where the financial demands and administrative complexity of Hajj are rising sharply, and global inflation, currency volatility, and shifting economic realities. Now, the choice of this year's theme, which is sustainable Hajj financing, is therefore not only appropriate, but certainly very urgent.
Of Nigeria, Professor Abdullahi Usman, also agree that the Hajj industry faces increasing pressure from fluctuating foreign exchange rate. This and other challenges made pilgrimage increasingly expensive. Therefore, developing resilience and sustainable financial model is no longer an option, but a necessity. We shall now be going to our Makurdi Network Center for more on Nationwide with Susan Omale. Hello, Susan. You're on.
Thank you for joining us in Makurdi. The Nigerian Navy is to establish a Special Operations Command in Makurdi to address challenges of insecurity along the banks of the River Benue and beyond. Chief of Naval Staff Vice Admiral Emmanuel Ogala disclosed this during his operational visit to the state. Elias Itiab has more.
The Naval Chief and his entourage is to commiserate with people of Benue State over the recent attacks that claimed scores of lives and to inspect the site for the Special Operations Command. The Chief of Naval Staff, Vice Admiral Emmanuel Ogala, who appreciated the developmental strides of the present administration towards engaging youth in the state, noted that Nigerian Navy, as a principal maritime force, will continue to ensure the protection of the nation's territorial integrity and sovereignty. He said, Benue State has a critical role as a food basket of the nation, which is why the Navy, in collaboration with other security formations, will ensure peace in the state to promote livelihoods and boost economies. While inspecting the proposed site for the Special Operations Command, the Chief of Naval Staff explained that the facility houses all land fighting elements of internal security, not just in Benue, but the entire nation.
From this particular Special Operations Command, all our deployments, both in Benue State and other parts of the country, so long as it has to be with fighting on land in support of the Army and the other services, will be coordinated from here.
Governor Hyacinth earlier explained that the donation of the land represents the state commitment in complementing efforts of the federal government in combating insecurity.
We have some very long waterways and it's spanned as well. So we need their presence and there's so much they can also do. We're already in great working relationship with the Navy. They have their school here and they're doing quite well. They are in collaboration with us. So having them to come and situate, to domicile, would also be very beneficial to us.
The Naval Special Operations Command is situated on 179 hectares of land. In Makurdi, Elias Etiaf, NTA News.
And that's our package from Makurdi. Nationwide continues with Nolin in Abuja after this timeout.